Believe in yourself, huh? Who else gon' believe in you? Who else gon' believe in you? Who else gon' believe in you? You believe in yourself.
Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in once again for another episode of the Manny Hall Show. I have Kristiaun Joy with me today. We're going to get it in. It's going to be extremely awesome, dope, fantastic, all of that rolled in one. You're going to be able to learn some really great things that she's doing in the community and the impact that she continues to make in the future as well. Y'all be blessed. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Amazing, amazing. Please tell me your name and what you do.
My name is Kristiaun Joy, and I do a plethora of things. I'm the co-founder of Gym and Me. It is the girls' development and self-care group in Garden Valley.
Awesome.
I'm also the co-founder of a group called Queens and Gyms. It's for millennial women in Cleveland, Ohio, for us to network, create authentic relationships, both professional and personal.
Yes. And
then I also have my own brand, which is Kristiaun Joy, where I talk about being a godly woman, veganism, gotta be vegan. Nice. And then I'm also the startup connoisseur. So I help people get their business plans off the ground.
I love it. So what made you get started with all these different things that you're doing? I guess you can just tackle one at a time.
Well, with Gym and Me, growing up, I didn't have a mentor. I did not have somebody that was in my corner rooting for me. And so a little bit after I graduated, well, to backtrack a little bit, I got my bachelor's in fashion merchandising.
Okay.
I was working retail. I hated it. Folding clothes, dealing with customers. I just knew it wasn't for me.
Right.
And I got into a conversation with a friend of mine at the time. And she says, well, what did God want you to do? And me being like a baby Christian at the time, I had never even considered what God wanted me to do with my life.
Gotcha.
And literally on the way home, it was a download of this is what you're supposed to be doing with your life. So I stopped working retail. I went back to school. I got my master's in nonprofit administration. My business partner was actually my college dorm room. We went to high school together.
Okay.
Shaker Heights, 2004.
Okay. Represent.
But we both had a similar vision, and we knew that we worked well together and that we wanted to see where this could go.
Right.
So we both know that we wanted to work with middle school and high school age girls, helping empower them, leadership, self-esteem, self-care, and that's how Gym and Me was born.
I love it. So what made you even get started with that? So did you have like this passion a long, long time ago when you were growing up as a teenager and you was like, man, one day I really want to make an impact? Like, how did that go?
It wasn't until I was about 23 or 24 that somebody pointed it out at me. They said, Kristiaun, this is what you do anyway. Every time you have a chance, you're talking to a kid, well, giving advice, why don't you do this, stay away from that.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't until somebody pointed it out at me that I realized, oh, I can do that and I can make a living. What's better than making a living off of what you do naturally?
Yeah, absolutely. So with all the many organizations that try to cater towards teens, what makes yours different?
I would say myself and my partner. My partner's a licensed social worker.
Okay.
And so our sessions are not just hangout sessions.
Yeah.
They're therapeutic.
Gotcha.
And then we both have very good relation skills. Girls just gravitate towards us. We've nicknamed ourselves the Girl Whisperers.
Okay.
So we have girls that have anger issues and always want to fight and even want to fight each other outside, but when they get with us, it's such a peace and a calming. We don't have those issues that some other groups may have. Okay.
That's awesome. And, you know, it's really good that you guys are doing this because it's so needed. You know, as I mentioned, there's a lot of different groups and organizations that cater towards teens, but there can never be enough because there are so many out there that need help. So what are the age ranges that you guys work with?
For Gym and Me, we work from 6th to 12th grade. So usually you start 6th grade at about 11 or 12 and then all the way up to 18.
Okay, that's awesome. So primarily what age group do you guys normally see come in?
Mostly around 9th to 10th grade.
Okay. All right. And then what's your premise for the organization? Like, what do you guys really stand by and stand for?
Our mission statement is we work to encourage, enlighten, and empower girls through their strengths, choices, and challenges. We all have different strengths. Let's pull that out of you, and what can you do with those strengths? How can you make a living off your strengths? How can you do something for your community with your strengths?
Yeah.
We're all going to have challenges. Everybody has had some type of setback. Everybody's family has some type of setback.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
don't become a victim of that and push past that.
I love that. So what motivates you?
A little bit of everything. It's a God-given purpose. My partner is awesome. We are both very hardworking. And then my husband also motivates me. He's an entrepreneur himself. And it's hard to go home and not work. And then you see your partner working.
Yeah, I feel that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my girls motivate me too. They call me and text me all the time. Some of them call me mom. And I'm like, I don't have any kids. But okay.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's interesting that you said that your husband motivates you in terms of his entrepreneurial spirit. And, you know, the same thing back home with my wife and I. And, you know, she's currently in the process of finishing her book.
Nice.
And I'm on her, like, tough. Like, sometimes super tough. And it can get a little annoying for her. Like, man, like, let off a little bit. But I'm like, babe, we got to get this in.
Right.
Like, you about to change lights. You about to do this. So,
Right.
you know, it's just like, as a wife, I'm glad that you really understand that there has to be a balance, but at the same time, it's going to be that push sometimes.
Right. She's going to need time to chill.
Yeah, absolutely.
So give her time to chill.
Absolutely,
But we do need somebody to push us along sometimes. Because sometimes you don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah, that's real. And I think that's for most of us. So do you guys have like an outlet on social media that you guys really push for these teens?
We do. They can follow us on IG. We do Empowerment Gym. We will have different series. Sometimes it's affirmations. We'll push our events, of course. We're pushing our sessions. We're always accepting new girls. So
Okay.
if you know anybody in the Garden Valley area, anybody outside the Garden Valley area, you don't just have to live here. Anybody can come.
Gotcha. Yeah, and the reason why I ask that is because there's so many teens on social media, and I think that us as adults sometimes we get into this box of only catering towards each other, even if we have a particular mission, and it's like we almost like, hey, if y'all know any teens, like send them our way.
Right.
Versus actually engaging with them on social media is a creative way as well.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So did you grow up in this area?
I didn't. I grew up in Cleveland on the border of Shaker and Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah, because you said you went to Shaker,
I
right?
did, yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So what year did you come out in Shaker?
2004.
Okay.
The last good year.
I hear that. And I actually went to Maple Heights when I
Okay.
came out in 2000.
Awesome.
Yeah. So other than gym, what else were you doing again?
I am a co-founder of Queens and Gems. It's a partnership with Queen Collective that's an Akron group.
Okay.
And we focus on millennial women. Now, as women, we are having very negative stereotype to be catty and combative and have a lot of competition with each other. But we are trying to combat that, and you know, united we stand, divided we fall.
Yeah.
So why don't we come together? We all have different strengths. We all have different networks. We can come together. We're not going to be catty. We have different events, and we come together and just sometimes we have fun. We had a pop-up shop where we highlighted different local entrepreneurs. We'll have mixers. Let's just come together. We don't have to be catty.
Why? Okay, but you know, you brought that up, so let's talk about it. Why are women so petty, catty? Why they trip so much? Like, I know that's a huge answer to try to tackle, but just try.
I think part of it is media. What is big right now? Reality TV. Basketball-wise, Housewives, Bad Girls Club. And that's what gets attention. But I don't agree because it's bad attention. Yeah. And especially, that's the same thing that we teach to our young ones, because just because they're getting attention from it on TV, that doesn't make it the right thing to do.
Right.
Those women are actually making money off of being combative and catty.
Yeah.
We're not.
Exactly. Right.
So why are we doing it? But
Yeah.
instead we can come together and be business partners, or not even business partners, just a collaborative effort between our two businesses and make money.
Absolutely.
We are bred to be catty at a young age, while boys are bred to fight it out. Okay, shake hands. But why? Like, why? Like, I don't even know if there's a real reason of why.
Yeah,
I just think like reality TV has a big part in it right now.
Yeah. So what? I mean, it seems like you have some really great organizations that you're a part of that you're really trying to change the mode. But what practical steps can you give somebody out there that might not admit it, but they are one of those petty, catty young girls right now? What practical steps can you get them to get out of that?
To get the chip off their shoulder. A lot of times we go into a situation, oh, I'm just about to go in here, they about to look at me, or they not gonna like me. Do you even know these people? If you're going into a brand new situation, why are you holding on to that chip on your shoulder and that excess baggage?
Wow.
If you can go into a situation with a renewed mind and just say, I'm going to open myself up to these people. Some people are going to like you and some people are not. And that's fine.
Right.
It is fine. But that's the first thing I would say is get that chip off your shoulder.
Yeah.
Try to meet new people. And also, you are the product of your favorite 5 people in the whole world. So if you look at those 5 people and say, okay, they're getting into fights, they're not going anywhere, they're just doing a bunch of nonsense, what does that say about you? But if your friends are go-getters, they are working hard in whatever field or in school, whatever the case may be, that's also a reflection on you.
Yeah. So, our company that we keep is crucial towards our development and growth. So, they're looking at everything and listening to what you're saying and say, okay, I can try that. But man, if I let these negative people in my life go, I'm going to be friendless. What would you say to them?
That's okay. It's okay to be alone. Alone does not have to equal lonely. And then when you cut off the negative, that's also opening up that space for those positive people to come in.
Gotcha. I love that. So do you think that some of that stems from childhood issues and the way they grew up and different things that they experienced?
I do. I think that mother-daughter issues have a lot of reason on why women don't get along with other women.
Yeah.
Or, mother, auntie, mother, grandmother.
Yeah.
Our mothers have literally taught us, well, that's how girls are. Girls are catty. So if you hear that so many times, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be that way. And, although we're primarily talking about women, unfortunately, guys can be just as petty and catty sometimes as well.
Sometimes.
And you might not find it as often, but again, I would go back to the same thing, that when somebody has like rejection issues, men or women, they oftentimes like to reject somebody else before they have the option to reject them. And it's a very sad reality, but most of the time when you meet someone, they're not going to tell you they're suffering with these different things. You just see this outside behavior that really needs to stop.
Exactly. And it's okay to cut those people off. When you see that little hint of crazy, there may be another hint after it.
Yeah.
So, in order to protect your mental health and for you not to go down that path,
I love it.
Cut it off.
I love it. So, when you were growing up in Shaker, and I've heard some stories about Shaker, the good and the bad. there is some pettiness going on in the Shaker area sometimes. Well, how did you steer clear of that?
I was the oddball a little bit. I didn't have that many friends. I wasn't the popular kid. I was a little bit awkward. And I had probably about 4 or 5 friends all the way through high school. And we had each other's backs. And we were able to not be catty. It was a mix of men and women.
Gotcha.
Or girls and boys at the time, young ladies. But we didn't have a reason to be catty. And we defended each other. And that's also a big thing. If somebody's talking about your friend, are you defending them? That's a way to combat cattiness also.
Absolutely. I love that. Now, if you don't mind, you know, while we still have some time, like, take me on your own personal journey to self-discovery, becoming a woman that you are right now, and some of those steps that you took.
I think I'm still on a journey. Well, I went to Shaker Heights. I was there from 2nd grade all the way until I graduated from high school. I went to Kent State and I got my bachelor's in fashion merchandising. And like I said, I was working retail. I was a manager. I was making okay money, but there had to be more. There had to be something else. There's nothing worse than going home and feeling like empty.
Yeah.
And then I had that conversation with a friend at the time, and that completely changed like the trajectory of my life.
Gotcha.
So then I went to John Carroll University and I got my master's in nonprofit administration. And my family is super proud because I'm the first person to have a master's in my family.
Congrats.
Thank you. And only the second person to go to school. My sister being the first.
Wow.
My sister's, it was her birthday today, so I just saw her.
Yeah, shout out.
So my whole family, happy birthday. But after graduation, I went to working for a after-school program.
Okay.
And that's where I really got the hands-on work. I had been volunteering in church, and like my friend had pointed out, I've always been kind of mentoring and giving advice, but I knew I needed the hands-on experience in an actual nonprofit organization. There's nothing like hands-on training.
Yeah.
So Jim and Me has been in session for almost 3 years. It's about 2.5 years now. A little bit before we actually did our first session, Penny, who's the co-founder, she reached out to me on Facebook because even though we went to high school and college together, but she reached out to me randomly because we hadn't spoken in a while. And because I would used to post stuff about my kids, they would tell jokes, or sometimes they get you because kids are funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this kid got me today. This is what they did, X, Y, Z.
Right.
So she's like, I see you work with kids. What are you doing now? And then that's when we reconnected, and it's been lovely. We have the High Tea with Jim and Me is one of our fundraisers. We also do another event called Project Self. It is a family event, and we focus on different aspects of self-care, inside and out. So we talk about healthy eating, yoga, working out, mindfulness.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that coming up again this summer.
Awesome.
About a year ago, we had started Queens and Gems with another friend of ours, Brittany of the Queen Collective. Awesome person. Also, if you're in Akron, please check out Queen Collective. Yeah. I always got to shout out people.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where we really honed in on. We are targeting millennial women. But there's just so much to Kristiaun Joy. If you know me for years, like I'm like a ever evolving, changing. I always have different interests, and there has to be some type of outlet for that, which is where the Kristiaun Joy brand came from. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, sometimes I'll do jewelry. I've done custom shoes before, but the Kristiaun Joy brand is really going to be like the vegan living. And the only other black vegan I know is my husband. Gotcha. So I think it's kind of just really a niche market right now. Yeah. Veganism is kind of seen as a white thing, but Absolutely. It's not.
You're right.
If you really look, there's a lot of vegan soul food recipes, and people can't give up their bacon. Yeah. I get it. You don't need bacon. You really don't. You can be just as full and satisfied on the vegan diet and a lot healthier. And it's not even more expensive, which is like the other misconception. Yeah. But then I also had a passion for makeup. And after becoming vegan, I realized, if I'm not putting the negative stuff in my body, I can't put it on my body either. Gotcha. So I'm currently developing a vegan makeup line too.
Nice. That's awesome.
Especially for women of color, because, well, you don't wear makeup, but I'm sure you've heard there's not a lot of shades for women of color. Yeah. And that's a whole market that I would like to go into. Putting healthy elements on our skin that's actually going to help the skin and not dry it out, break out our skin.
Right.
And then with the Startup Connoisseur, I'm helping people get their paperwork for the state together. So many people are out here selling stuff, telling people business advice, but you really need to protect your brand. You really need to protect yourself, especially if you're giving a product.
Absolutely.
Because if I was to give out a product and say a lotion, and that lotion broke out somebody, they can come and sue you.
Yeah, correct.
Protect yourself.
Got to, absolutely. Now, I want to touch on a couple things you mentioned. You definitely said a lot. Now, what exactly happened with the fashion degree?
You know, I don't know. I still want to do some things with it. Penny is in my ear, like, we need to do a fashion show.
Okay.
I do hit on the fashion in the girls group itself on what kind of clothes look right on each body type.
Yeah.
Not everybody can wear everything. Well, nobody can wear everything. Yeah. But there are certain shapes and certain things that look right on different.
And I think that that's extremely important because a lot of people don't realize that fact. And they try to put on stuff that just is not for them, for lack of a better statement.
Right. Just don't. Just don't. Don't. Even undergarments. I hit on that a lot also. Please. I don't want to see it.
I hear that. Now, also about the veganism. I'm actually on that road myself, my wife and I. I'm at the point where I just eat fish. A little bit of dairy here and there, just like some cheese here and there. But primarily, I'm just like eating veggies and beans and fruits and grains and things of that nature. A lot of quinoa and
love quinoa.
and actually started. I got introduced to couscous, and I like it. But then I have a natural health doctor, and based on his recommendations, like, you can't have the gluten. So once I found out that gluten was in the couscous, I had to slow down on that. But it's an interesting journey. I definitely feel better since we've been doing it probably faithfully for me with this journey almost 2 years now.
Nice.
And it's a great thing, but the problem that I sometimes get into is still eating the snacks, the chips, the sweets. It's just like, and I almost feel like it's a replacement for the bad stuff that I'm not eating anymore, but I really have to tone it down with those. So.
Right. Yeah, you really have to prepare.
Yeah.
If you do not prepare, you're probably going to fail
at
it. And that's just with any diet, whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, vegan, vegetarian, because that drive-through is very easy. And you have to know how to combat that.
Yeah.
I go grocery shopping at least twice a week because we eat a lot of fresh produce, and I don't want that spoiling in the refrigerator.
Absolutely.
So I go probably about twice a week. I stock up on trail mix and nuts, so I'm not eating the chips.
Exactly.
And then often when you're actually craving something, you're really craving something that's inside that food.
I've been saying that. If I didn't want to mess the camera up, I would give you a high five right now. But it's in the air.
Yes.
But yeah, seriously though. And I even studied that because a friend of mine, and then my wife was just recently pregnant. We just had a little baby, 3 months old now.
Yay.
And so I was doing some research, and even the cravings that a woman has during pregnancy, they think like, oh man, I got a taste for this hamburger and fries, and I need this milkshake. No, it's within those things that your body is really craving. So really being able to identify that. So I'm glad you made that point.
Yeah, it's probably like the iron in that hamburger, or the calcium in the milkshake, or something.
Exactly.
But you can get calcium from spinach.
Yep, absolutely.
A lot of people won't know something like that. Little tidbits. U.S. is one of the top 5 places that, we have a lot of dairy consumption. It's also the top 5 for osteoporosis.
Wow.
So everybody thinks that you have to drink milk and that's going to combat the osteoporosis.
Yeah.
But it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And then, most people don't realize that so much vitamin C inside of celery. Even more than the fruit, the oranges and different things that we consume. So it's just, it's an interesting journey, but what I'm really learning from it the most is that I really have this desire to live longer, to live healthier. And I don't want to be that guy, 45, 50, stuck in a hospital, can't move.
Right.
It ain't worth it.
Exactly. Like, we're called to take care of our temples.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do God's work if I'm too big and I can't get off the couch?
Absolutely.
I can't do it. So
absolutely.
It's all for the kingdom at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you know, and it's to that point, I think that some people have the misconception that, okay, I got to be a toothpick in order to be a vegan or to be healthy. Like, no, that's not the case. But living this healthy lifestyle, God made everybody differently. That's okay.
Yes,
but living a healthy lifestyle is really those daily choices. Do I eat this or do I eat that? When I'm at work sometime, my coworkers will say, we're going out to eat. You coming? I'm like, I know I don't eat that meat. You know, I know I haven't eaten chicken or beef or pork in like a year and a half. And I don't even want it. But they come back, it be looking so good. And I'd be like, I'm not going to eat it, but it's just, I really want y'all to stop eating it. But it's like, they make it look so good that it's so desirable.
Sometimes, but then there's sometimes I will smell somebody's meat.
Yeah.
I picked up somebody one day and they had a steak McMuffin.
Ugh.
And it made my stomach turn. I almost kicked them out of my car.
Well, that's and that was from McDonald's,
yes.
right? Yeah.
I'm like, don't bring that in my car.
Yeah.
It's just not right for my stomach
Yeah. No, I hear you. So, with all that you're doing, like, how do you find work-life balance?
I make sure that I have at least a couple hours, preferably an entire day off every day. Or I'm sorry, every week, not every day.
I got you.
So usually Sundays is my day off, and I will take that time to just relax. I make my husband put up his laptop also, and that is our time to pray, chill, watch movies, everything, because we need that time to rejuvenate.
Okay, so I got to confess, I got in trouble last night with the wife.
Okay.
So, you know, I got the Manny Hall show. I'm constantly doing these interviews and have to edit, produce, everything all by myself. And she challenged me yesterday. She said, you know, let's just hang out, no cell phone, until like 1 o'clock. And I said,
That's hard.
Okay. Okay, I can do it. So I said, starting when? She said, go ahead and finish editing the 1. And then like about 8:30, I said, all right, I got this. I'm praying the whole time like, okay, Jesus, me and you know?
Right.
So about 8:45, I'm like, well, no, babe, I'm about to post like me and wifey not having no cell phones tonight and we just unplugged. She was like, but you still getting on social media. I'm like, no, but just this one time. And it was hard to say no.
It is. It's addictive.
Yeah.
It's like studies show that it's addictive, but you literally need to pull yourself away from it.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. So you guys try to do this once a week?
Yes, once a week. Sundays is usually the day where we kind of unplug. And then we don't let each other do work past about 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Gotcha.
But we try to unplug at night also.
Gotcha.
And then scheduling your day. Making sure you're waking up early. You got to catch the most of your day. Don't get out of bed at 7 or 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And try to roll out of bed and do something. But getting up, making the most of your day. Write it on your calendar. I'm going to work on ABC from this time to this time.
I love that.
It's always a work in progress. It's always a little finagling, but it's working.
Absolutely. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are just trying to get started for the first time?
Get started. Don't overthink things. Get started. Have somebody that you trust that you can bounce your ideas off of also. That's also one of the things I do. But I got to plug that in there too.
Okay.
But you need to just have a sounding board, but somebody that you can trust. Please make sure it's somebody you can trust. You would not hand over your newborn baby to anybody. So you don't want to hand over your business baby to just anybody either.
Gotcha.
But just get started. You're going to make a couple mistakes. That's okay. Make them learning experiences. Do it. Just go.
Good. Now, this is the challenging part of the interview. It's a little bit fun, but you might roll your eyes at me right when I ask you the question. So, tell me 10 people that have either inspired you or had some kind of impact on your life and your business, let's say in the past 5 years. And then here's a challenge. So after you do that, when I post this clip on Facebook, you have to tag these individuals as well. Go. 10.
Okay. Well, first I would say my husband. He's definitely a motivator. He's the one that encouraged us to actually have the first session.
Nice.
Because we were thinking too much.
Okay.
And he said, get some girls, get them in a room, do it. So I love you, Marcus. Probably we wouldn't be as far along if it wasn't for him.
Shout out to Marcus.
Yes, shout out to Marcus. You can follow him at Peer Pantry CLE on Instagram.
So why didn't you, wait a minute, before we continue, why didn't you suggest him to be on the show? He need to be on the show.
I can. I'm going to tell him.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay. Next, I would say Penny, my partner. She is awesome, of course. Licensed social worker, girl whisperer. You can find her. She just changed her Instagram handle. I think it's like Train to Tame on Instagram right now.
Okay.
But I'll tag her and what the current one is if that's not it.
Okay.
And then Brittany, you can find her at Queen Collective on Instagram. She works with women of all ages and getting them out of that place of just being stuck and helping them find their purpose.
Gotcha.
I would say just anybody that's inspired.
Yeah.
I'm a daddy's girl. He's not on Instagram, but you know,
and that's okay. That's okay.
My mom, she always has good tidbits now. She's on Instagram, Oruka Art. She does pottery right now.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Anybody along your journey?
Anybody along my journey?
They offer any kind of inspiration, like, girl, you got it. Don't stop. What's up? You got this.
You know who's good? And she may not even realize it, but Isha from A&G Fitness. When I'm still on the fitness journey, but she would get in my ear, no, you're not quitting. So Instagram is Isha Baby. She may not even realize it. I almost passed out on her a couple times.
That's okay. That's understandable.
But she's like, drink some water, get up,
Right.
let's go.
Right.
My grandmother, she has a lot of wisdom.
Love it. That's awesome.
And
you got 2 more.
2 more. I'll have to shout out my pastor. New Community Bible Fellowship, Pastor Kevin James.
Yeah, represent.
Yes, he is never a dull moment in that church.
Yeah. Always
brings a good word. And if you're not in a good Bible-based church, I would recommend New Community. One more. Lord have mercy. Okay, I know. My friend Brittany. She recently started her business too, Custom Creations by B. She does custom mugs and wine glasses. And when I need somebody that'll just let me vent and let me just get it all out, no judgment, I'm going to her. And then she tells me to get it together and get up.
I love it. So any last words for entrepreneurs, women empowerment, whatever? Any last words?
I would just say, shout out the business pages. If you need somebody to connect with, if you need somebody to change your mind about how women can actually have positive relationships, like please follow us on Queens and Gems. If you need somebody that is able to really speak to your young girl, because honestly, as young girls, we don't always listen to our parents.
Yeah.
But if you want to put them in the path of somebody that has adult advice, but is able to cater it to a young age, please send them our way. And just for entrepreneurs, I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. We're always open to collaborations. Keep moving. It's going to be hard sometimes. There are times where you feel like giving up, and that's normal. But you are not going to make $1 on the couch doing nothing. You cannot make your dreams come true doing nothing. You're not going to actually do your God-given purpose doing nothing. You got to do something. Chip away at it slowly, but it'll come.
Absolutely. So provide Instagram, Facebook handles.
Okay, on Instagram for Kristiaun Joy, it's just simply Kristiaun Joy, KristiaunJoy. For Gym and Me, it's Empowerment Gym. And then for Queens and Gems, it's just Queens and Gems on Instagram. On Facebook is Gym and Me and Kristiaun Joy and Queens and Gems.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, sis. It's been great. I had a lot of fun, laughs. This is great.
Yes.
Guys, please tune in for the next episode. Make sure that you check out the full video on YouTube if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram. We love your support. We are out, Manny Hart Show. Peace.